Welcome to the podcast. It's the best podcast in the world. This is going to end up on the show. I know it, motherfucker.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to episode 97 of Epitome of Stupidity, your favorite allegedly metal podcast. Today we've got the title track from the new Black Tusk album, The Way Forward. Personally, I've been waiting patiently for 6 damn years for this album, and it has not disappointed. Want 36 minutes of concise fucking awesomeness? Look no further. But more on them and that shortly. So, if you're new here, I'm Clint. I'll be your host. If you're not new here, congratulations on continuing a streak of good decisions. Returning folks will know that the last Sonic Temple weekend giveaway passive weekend stuff, however the hell I'm supposed to say this. The contest is started via the old social media. That'd be Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And with the festival being just over a week away as I'm recording this, typing this, saying this, if you don't have passes, you should get yourself entered because, it's coming. It's going to be a lot of fun. You should go. Or be there. Or get free fucking passes from me. Because why not? If you'd like a little more details on the damn thing, if for some reason you don't have them already, I'm going to go ahead and play a commercial for it right about now.
Sonic Temple Art and Music Festival returns to historic Cruise Stadium. Slipknot, Disturbed, Pantera, The Original Misfits, Evanescence, Limp Bizkit, Judas Priest, Stain, Breaking Benjamin, A Day to Remember, Falling in Reverse, Sleep Token, Rise Against, 311, Seether, Mudvayne, and many more. May 16th through the 19th, Columbus, Ohio. Tickets on sale now at SonicTempleFestival.com.
I've said it a bunch of times, and I'll say it at least one more time, depending on how scheduling goes. Maybe 2 more times. Who knows? That's going to be 4 days of fucking fun, and you should be there, because why wouldn't you want to be? Obviously, that festival is a big deal here in Columbus, and is going on during the last day of it is going on during what I'm about to talk about. So if you're not going to the festival, you really don't have a good reason to miss this, because it's for a good cause and all those fun things. So here's some details. My friend and a good friend of the local music scene here in Columbus, one John Eastep, has put together a benefit concert to raise money for the Mental Health America of Ohio and the Franklin County Suicide Prevention Coalition. This wonderful show for a worthwhile cause will be taking place Sunday, May 19th at Natalie's in Grandview, and there will be a link in the show description should you want more info relating to. To jump from that into what I'm listening to, surprise, it's just a shit ton of Black Tusk, because having them on the show today is a reason to go back through their catalog, which is just fucking awesome release after awesome release. And again, this new album it's just, man, I don't have anything more than the usual adjectives and stupid things that I say, and that I've just got it on fucking repeat because it is great to listen to loudly, continually, and non-stoppily, because now I'm just going to make up fucking words. It's honestly, Black Tusk have honestly been 90% of my listening since this album has come out, let alone since I found out that they were going to be on this stupid show. The only diversions I've made have been a quick little Baroness diversion, mostly because I saw something about where John Dyer Baisley's selling some massive, beautiful prints from the yellow and green and purple album artworks, of which, for my opinion, the artwork and the albums themselves are fucking great. And the new Thou album, which doesn't actually come out till May 29th, but I'm fucking 100% telling you that it is an album of the year contender, because like the new Black Tusk album, it is fucking great. From all that, I will jump into quickly encouraging you to drink better. Look, you're getting older. I'm not, but you are. As you get older, you want to do things better. One of these things should be how you consume alcohol. And what sounds more distinguished and or better than telling someone that you're drinking a glass of award-winning mead from BrimmingHornMeadery.com? Nothing. That's what. So go to BrimmingHornMeadery.com, pick out some delicious mead, use the code EPITOMEAD, that's EPITOMEAD, at checkout to get a 10% discount, and thank me by sending drunk pictures of yourself or drunk text to me, because I need something out of this too. Okay, so I think we've done all the things. Let's have a quick conversation about Black Tusk. Before talking to Black Tusk. Formed in 2005 and self-described as swamp metal, which in my opinion means some version of sludge mixed with punk, and just enough left turns and unexpected changes to keep them from ever being in the same state as predictable. In almost 20 years, they've put out 7 albums and 3 EPs, and each and every one whoops ass in holy and specifically Black Tusk ways. I think we've got more than one person on the call today, so maybe let's talk to them about it, and I'll make some dumb, fake fucking phone sounds to get us there. Beep, 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 ring. Annie answered. On the line with me is Scary of Black Tusk. Scary, how the fuck are you this Cinco de Mayo?
Man, things couldn't be better. I had the whole day in the studio with some good friends and some tequila, and yeah, feeling good. Good Sunday.
Now we kind of.
How are you?
Well, how I am doesn't actually matter because we had a half-assed conversation about your tequila thing and Cinco de Mayo before this, and I want to just go ahead and jump to that while I'm still thinking about it. Tell me about how you celebrated Cinco de Mayo today.
Yeah, so I had my buddy Greg in the studio, and he brought a $70 bottle of tequila. He got out of the van and was like, "Hey man, I brought this great tequila." And then about halfway through the day, I was like, "All right, we should probably do some tacos." And we ended up getting about $25 worth of Taco Bell to accompany a $70 bottle of tequila. So it's like, why not?
Viva la Mexico!
Yeah,
or something. I like to start these conversations with just a big generic. What are you listening to lately?
Oh man. So amazing record that I forget if it came out this year, like the end of last year, but the band Rid of Me from Philly.
Sure.
They just played here, and so got to see them and hang out with those guys. But that record has been nonstop on play for me. I love that record.
The older iteration of the band, whose name I just had but have forgotten.
Fight Amp.
No, between the two.
No? Low Dose.
Yes. When they were Low Dose, they were actually on this show fucking forever ago. Anyways,
Nice.
I completely derailed your train of thought so we could both remember that name.
No, they're awesome. Great band. So good. They've been nonstop repeat for me. Man, who else? I've been listening to a lot of Tragedy lately. That's always a good. It's not new, but it's never gets old.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking for me personally, I've been listening to a massive metric fuck ton of the new Black Tusk album, The Way Forward. So I will kind of try to parlay that in like a I had it planned type fashion into instead of me asking specifics and trying to pull out specific details and all those things, just tell me the story of the album. How did it come about? What's it about? What it means to you guys? Don't be short on me here. Tell me all the fun stuff.
Yeah. So, I joined the band right after TCPT had come out, before it. So I actually engineered that record.
Right.
And I've been friends with the band since pretty much their inception. It was like, I moved to Savannah in 2006. They'd been a band for about a year and a half, 2 years before that. So I got to be good friends with all those guys and have been kind of a part of the scenes or part of the band behind the scenes, like helping them out with like designs, demos and this, that, and the other for their career. And then when I moved back to Georgia in 2017, they were like, "Hey, we're doing this new record. Do you want to do it?" And so I came out engineered the record, mixed it, and it was like one of the last days of like tracking stuff at my house and doing this, that, and the other. They were like, hey, would you want to come on the road and play second guitar on this? And then I think I played like 4 shows with them, and they were like, yeah, you're in the band.
Cool.
And so did a few tours with them, went to Europe with them, and then right when we were starting to really get down to writing, we were like, all right, we have to get to a new record, was in pretty much January of 2020.
We can all guess what happens next.
That's, yeah. So that's like, and then around that time, James moved out of Savannah. And so it's lockdown 22, like, and we can't practice. We can't do anything.
Right.
So it was a bunch of back and forth of sending videos that you took on your phone, or like James would send videos like, da 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 da. He'd like record. He's like, I got the song it is, da da, and then he would send it to me, and I would transpose it on guitar, and like we send it back and forth. And so I think it was like maybe mid to late 2020 that we actually got together and kind of got to like riff some songs together. We're all like wearing masks and everything, and like trying to stay smart, like try and be smart about it, but you know, we still want to write music. So we started writing songs in like 2020, and then there would be months to where like we're just not together. So it's hard to write songs because like that was a big thing of like being in this band is like, you know, we don't come to practice that. Here's the song. Like one person doesn't just present a song. It's like one person presents a riff and then we write the song together. So, you know, that is really hard when you don't live in the same town.
Sure.
And so from like mid 2020 through like early 2021, it was me, Andrew, and James writing music. And then around maybe May of 2021, we recruited Derek, as our bass player. And first thing that he ever did with us was he came to Athens where James lives, which is about 4 hours from Savannah. And we rented a practice space, and his first practice, he's already like writing songs with us and everything. He just like fit in so well.
Fuck yeah.
And his attitude and his writing style was just like, you couldn't ask for a better fit.
His tone is
like,
fucking gnarly too.
Oh yeah. And like, he's such a great musician, and like, he had never done vocals before in a band. And the very first vocals you hear on the new record is him.
Nice.
And like, he just came out and just like, it was a pummeling, like very powerful voice. Like, dude, what the fuck? Like, we didn't expect this. And I don't think he did either.
Right.
So yeah. And like, he just like, he fit the bill so well. And so then, you know, continued to demo, and we had the record like mostly written by, I don't know, 2023. And well, the record was done, mixed, artwork turned in, everything last May, and it just, production takes
forever.
What it takes. Like, you know, we're behind Taylor Swift. She's got to print all her records first. So now that her record's finally out, we can print ours. So, yeah, so now our record's finally out after a long, long wait and being back of the line to Taylor Swift for this long. So, but luckily we get to be a pop girl summer. So,
hey, I did not have the Black Tusk Taylor Swift comparison on my fucking bingo card for today, so I guess you win. Speaking of Derek there, it's you and his first album with the band in full, where you've been with him for a while now on guitar and him on bass.
Yeah.
Just what's it like to join a band with it, you know, at this point? I've got numbers written here that don't necessarily make sense with your timeline here, and this is as far as I'm going to go with this preface, because the more I say, the worse it gets. So what's it like to join a band with an almost 20-year history?
So like for me to join Black Tusk wasn't really, it's just like, you know, they were buddies of mine forever. Like I already knew their whole back catalog. I didn't know how to play the songs like necessarily, because I like don't just sit at home like
playing the damn
play
songs.
All my friends. Like, yeah, I was like, I know these guys. I don't need, like, I'll just like hang out with them. But then it was like, oh, okay, I'm in the band. So like learning the songs and everything. And like James and Andrew and I have like been friends for, 20 years. So playing, like going on the road with them was just like cool. I get to go on the road with my buddies and play music. So it's
Fuck
cool.
yeah.
So for me, it's just like cool. I get to go on the road for 2-3 weeks at a time with a bunch of friends and play music to a lot, and then like get to go hang out with our friends that live in different cities. And it's like, dude, this is as good as it gets.
Fuck
This
yeah.
is great. And then Derek, so we all like my old band before I was in Black Tusk. Derek was in a bunch of other bands. I was in a band, and we would always play together throughout the shows. And we never like knew each other. We weren't like buddies and hanging out on the weekend or anything, but we knew each other. And it wasn't until Derek joined Black Tusk that we were like, oh yeah. Like as soon as Andrew's like, hey, what about Derek Lynch to play bass? I was like, oh, he's a great bassist. Yeah, absolutely. And then once like he did his first tour with us, we were just like, dude, why did we not think about this guy before? Like he was
Right.
like his attitude was so good, and he's just a phenomenal musician. And yeah, I couldn't speak higher of him. He's awesome. He's just a great dude.
Fuck yeah. It seems like it would be, and between yourself and him, where you've got some history and then him maybe not, it seems like just such a fucking daunting thing to come in as essentially half the damn band now to something with such a long-standing and, complicated,
Yeah.
and but also just awesome history and lineage of music and all those things.
Yeah, and that's a big thing is like, me joining the band and like actually starting to write with them. I didn't want to, for my voice or like what I would normally play on guitar, I wanted it to sound like a Black Tusk record. So if I wrote a riff, I thought in my head, like, if I were to write a Black Tusk riff, or like, I would listen to Taste of Sin and
Sure.
Set the Dial, like older Black Tusk, because I always loved the older Black Tusk stuff. They evolved and like they changed their sound, or not necessarily changed their sound, but like every record just slightly different, everything. And I was like going back to that old Black Tusk, like, because I always loved the old stuff. And I'm like, if I were to write a song that would go on Taste of Sin, how would that riff go? And there's a few songs on the new record. I only know them as like song 2 and song 3. Like, I don't know the song names. But I would just be like, yeah, man, I could see that being on Taste of Sin. Like that riff, I could see that being on like Set the Dial. And that was my whole goal, is like keeping that old school, simplistic, but aggressive sound. And yeah, so I in no way was trying to change that, but having the 2 guitar players, we were able to do a little bit more, with like, because James is always like, if we have 2 guitar players, let's use it. Like, if you're just going to play the exact same thing, we could get that with just 1 guitar. So
Right.
why? Yeah. Let's use the 2 guitar players.
Let's have some fun with it.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, totally.
And you start to talk about how, over their history, everything sounds like Black Tusk, but they've clearly done things to kind of evolve the sound. Is that, in your experience now with the band, is that like a conscious thing that's happening, or is it just the natural, this is Black Tusk in a room and this is what's happening?
I think it's like, this is Black Tusk, and like, this is what's going on in our lives, and this is like the music that is like a portrayal of what's happening in our lives, and our anger, our happiness, our anger, our frustration, just everything that we feel in the room and everything that we're dealing with. Like, that's what makes the music. And, this record having me and Derek on it is like, it's the first record that's been done as a 4-piece. So,
Right.
Having the ability to like having one more person say, oh, but what if we did this? And what if the song went this way or did this? And I don't know. I just think like, and the fact that, we made this record entirely on our own. Like, we recorded it here in my studio, and the first 7 songs that we tracked, we recorded those songs, and then we were still working on finishing like 3 or 4 of them. And so we had a 3 or 4 month lull between those sessions.
Okay.
So we were able to like kind of step back and we sent the 7 songs to Brian, who did the artwork. We were like, because he was starting on the artwork, and we were like, all right, here's rough mixes of the first 7 songs. And he was like, man, he even said on one part, he was like, yeah, the intro to that kind of sucks. And like, I was like, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. It does suck. And so, it was actually, for the song The Way Forward, the title track of the record.
Shit.
Yeah, so we actually, I actually kind of cut everything that was the intro to that song, and Athan, the old bass player for Black Tusk,
sure.
I had his old acoustic, and so I just started like kind of riffing in the studio one day, and like I sat on the couch over there, and then put a mic over here, like across the room, and recorded that intro, and I just did it one day before I had to go to work, and I was like, huh, all right, well, let me see what everybody else thinks of it. And it became the intro.
Dude, and it is, I mean, personally, it's my fucking favorite song on the album. That, like, there's just, the album itself is, to use round numbers, like 36 minutes long. And there's just, there are like a couple quiet parts here and there, but for the most part, it's, 31 minutes of just whoop ass after ass whooping after kicking ass.
Yeah.
And then you get to that intro and the actual song, The Way Forward, and it's just so fucking perfect. And to end in that damn album like that, and then to find out that it became that way because Brian Mercer, the guy who did the album art, said, yeah, maybe not that for the intro.
Yeah, because like it had like this kind of like rock and roll intro, and it was super cheesy, and yeah, like as soon as like I already kind of was like second guessing it, and then we recorded it, and yeah, just talking to Brian, he's like, yeah, that intro, he's like, that could be better. I was like, yeah, you're totally right. That does suck. And it's nice to like have that ability to, when you're making art and everything, to be able to like step away and like walk away from it and come back and like reevaluate it. And I think that was it's not like when it actually came time to tracking and doing, like making the record, it was very fast. Like, I think maybe 8-9 days in the studio total.
Yeah. For
the whole record. But having the ability to walk away and then be like, and listen to it and reevaluate it and be like, oh man, because there's always, man, I wish I had done this. I wish I had done that. And this record, we were able to do that a little bit. So.
And like, I would assume that having kind of like a trusted resource in Brian Mercer, who's done stuff with the band throughout their history, to kind of have an opinion that's worthwhile to throw back at you is.
Oh, totally. Yeah. Like, we all love Brian like a brother, and, he works with so many bands, and he's got great taste in music. So, him being able to like, tell us straight up and be like, man, this is a good song, but that intro could be better. I'm like,
right.
You know what? You're right. You're right. And like having that like little push from your friends to be like, yeah. And yeah, it's, I don't know. It's fun. It was a fun record to make. It was a little stressful just from, the vantage point of trying to get everybody in the same room with lockdown and work schedules, James not living here. But I do think what came out of it was a very positive thing. We all had a good experience. Nobody was under like too much pressure or freaking out like, last minute, because we weren't under the gun to like really have it done by any given time.
Right.
Well, we were supposed to have it done way earlier, but
supposed to actually happens.
Yeah, we got it done when it got done, and it is what it is, and I'm happy with it. So
I've seen Andrew talk about the theme for the record is putting your life back together. Does his overarching theme for it relate to you as well?
Yeah, we've all like the last couple years. It's been, we all go through our own personal struggles with everything,
sure.
Just life. And we've all gone through some pretty big life changes, and I was just in Amsterdam, and I got a set of Dolly tarot cards, and looking through them the other day, and there was one that said I forget what the tarot card was, but it was like, you know, choosing to end the life that you were given and choosing to create the life that you want. And it's like, you know, that was like, you know, we have stuff in our lives that we just like need to move on from, and, you know, choosing to live a better life that we want to be living, and, you know, making what we want to be, what we want our own lives to be is very important. And, you know, the way forward, and, you know, we're trying to make the best of the lives that we are given, and, you know, where we're at in our lives with what we've dealt with. And yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of trying to move forward and see what happens next.
Sure. Instead of just pulling the same old bullshit along behind you, because that's what's always been there, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And I mean, there's obviously no shortage of fucked up things in the world lately or ever, without even getting into personal stuff. It's always been, especially with riffs and songs like you guys have, is it easier to write aggressive and pissed off lyrics or aggressive and pissed off riffs?
Black Tusk has always been a riff first band. Lyrics are a complete afterthought. We literally, we had our record done for probably like mixed for maybe 4, 5, 6 months before we added any vocals on it.
No shit.
Before we'd even like really written vocals for it. So, I remember like I would have my notepad on my phone and I would have ideas for lyrics, and I would sit there and write them down while I'm watching movies or just like, you know, traveling somewhere, and I would just like write down ideas, and then I would share it with Andrew, like, hey man, what do you think of this? And I would like, in my head, I wrote what would be an entire song for me doing vocals, and I'd send it to him. He's like, cool, that's a good part for a song. I'm like, dude, that's a whole song. And that dude comes in with like a Bible. He's like, yeah, this is one song. I'm like, how are we going to put that many lyrics in a song? And then we were going to, like, the record release show last Friday was the first time we ever played The Way Forward live.
No shit.
The song.
Right,
and Andrew's trying to remember what he sang on that, and he's sitting there like writing them out. Why did I put this many lyrics in one song? I was like, dude, that's your own choice, man. I tried to like tell you to like keep it slim.
I saw you walking in with that damn Bible and said, this is going to be a fucking problem.
Dude, like, you see a sheet of paper with, like, just so many lyrics, and, like, we're not a vocalist band. Like, we have vocals just so, like, I mean, we're not an instrumental band, but, it's like, none of us are singers.
And at the same time, there's 4 fucking singers. How is it decided who's going to do what vocals where?
That's a fun thing, cause, like, typically, we just say, all right, Andrew, you're singing most of it. Cause, I don't know, James is playing drums. James has a great voice, but he's playing drums, so he's like, I want to do as little vocals as possible. And then Derek also has a great voice, so it's pretty much Derek and Andrew doing most of the vocals. Whenever they want, I don't know, comic relief, they have me doing vocals. But yeah, it's basically just like, you know, whatever like voice, because we all have pretty different voices, so we listened to the part and was like, all right, this sounds like a sparse vocal that's just like really aggressive. All right, Scary, you do that part. Or this is a lot of vocals or a very melodic part. Andrew, you do that. So, you know, I can do like more guitar over top of it or something or other. Yeah, I think the style of the part dictates who's going to be doing the vocals.
Sure. Which makes a lot of sense. And it's just kind of having the groove and knowing the room as to who fits what style and what fucking part, right?
Yeah. And it's also like, you know, what's going on in the song. Like there's a part that's, you know, really riffy or something, like with me and Andrew going back and forth, then maybe that would be a part that Derek would play and like maybe lay back on the bass. Or if there's a part that's like really heavy drums or something, it's like just James belting out. And so.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. How has the reception for the album been so far?
I mean, it's from all my friends, they tell me it's nice. My mom likes it. No, reception has been like, as far as I can tell, like it's been very positive. You know, I'm getting I get nice feedback from old friends that I haven't heard from in a long time. They text me, like, I actually just got a text from a buddy in Virginia. Like, hey man, just listen to the new Black Tusk. It sounds great. And, so, like, I don't know, it is nice, to hear good things. I'm sure there's going to be people shitting on it, which is to be expected.
Sure.
But you know, it is what it is. It's a Black Tusk record, and I think it's a very strong Black Tusk record. So I'm happy with it. What anybody else thinks, fuck off. I don't care. If you don't enjoy it, don't listen to it. That's how it goes.
It seems fucking simple, right?
Yeah.
This is not kind of related to the bingo card thing from earlier, but, I want to continue to talk about your mom. So how do you describe to mom or grandma the music that you're making?
Oh man. All right. So my parents have always been extremely supportive of all my music. Like here, I'm in the studio right now and I complain to my dad, I'm like, man, I wish my ceilings were a little bit taller. And usually your parents are the ones that are like, yeah, that's a bad investment. Don't do that. My dad's like, you need to build an annex with a really tall ceiling and like buy more gear. And I'm like, dude, you're supposed to be the one that like talks me out of it.
You're supposed to be the voice of reason.
Yeah, but no, my parents have always been so cool. Like they would always come to shows. Actually, funny story. I'm from Harrisonburg, Virginia, and whenever Black Tusk, way before I was in the band, whenever they would go through Harrisonburg, Virginia and play the Blue Nile or the Golden Pony, they would always stay at my parents' house.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah. So they would go stay at my parents, and Andrew would go around the house and like all my like high school and like middle school pictures. He would like text me and like send me pictures like, look at you, dummy. But since I have joined the band, every time we're playing Virginia, my parents haven't let us stay there once since I've been in the band. I'm like, seriously, come on. But no, my parents are great. They've like every band I've ever been in since I was 15 years old, they've been extremely supportive. I actually learned to play bass on my dad's 67P bass.
Nice.
Yeah. So, yeah, me and my dad, like, my mom just rolls her eyes because we just start talking about music here, and she just like walks away. Yeah.
Kind of glazes over.
Yeah.
You mentioned for a second that record release show there in Savannah. How did that go, and how was playing some of these songs live for the first time?
The show was great. It was a very like I couldn't ask for a better attendance and like energy for a room. It was really good. The show started at 8, and I got a little weary because I was like, man, there's nobody here. It was like 7:58. I was like, there's nobody here. Where's everybody? But Savannah's a late crowd. Like people did show up, and it was a pretty packed house, and it was a really fun show.
Nice.
And playing some of the new songs, I was a little scared because we've never played them live to a room before. And like anytime you play a new song, it's like, are we gonna suck at this? Like, can we even play these songs live? I think, because, Dance on Your Grave and Brushfire, we had introduced into the set about a year ago. Cause we actually like introduced those songs at like Hell in the Harbor last May.
All right.
And we were like, yeah, these are going to be on the record someday. Allegedly, yeah. And so then at the release show, we also added Dance on Your Grave or, Breath of Life and The Way Forward. So we're playing right now. We've got 4 songs off the new record on our set. And I was, it's a little jittery playing them, but I think they went well, and I think they were received well, and I was stoked to add those songs because I really like those songs.
Fuck yeah. Outside of the jitters with playing something new, have you ever dealt with like performance anxiety with any of these things?
Not really. You get a little anxious. Just like, I feel like most of my anxiety in playing music is just making sure that we actually make it to the show. Black Tusk doesn't have a great track record for bands. There's been a lot of times that, being stuck on the side of the road in nowhere, Kentucky, or like, just like, oh man, we're supposed to be in like this town tonight. Are we going to make it? And like, it always sucks canceling a show. I really hate canceling shows. And I hate being late for shows, but, with life and like, vans the way they are, like you kind of have to like roll with the punches sometimes. And we played Muddy Roots like 2 years ago, and we had 2 tires go bad like an hour away from the venue. And so we had to pull over and get the tires changed. And so like we roll up to Muddy Roots, and they're like, "Hey, are you Black Tusk?" They're like, "Yeah, you guys are VIP for now. Get to the stage." Like we pulled up and like literally back to the van, loaded onto the stage, played, and then loaded back in the van.
Red team fucking go.
Dude, it was throw and go like no other.
That's fucking nuts, man. So like with music being just the whole creative process and all of the things that go into it, with your day-to-day life and work and all these things, how important is it to you to have this creative outlet and do these things?
I think it's extremely important. I work as a web developer, and so I'm just like looking at, like, I don't leave the house. Like I work from home, and I don't leave the house for days on end. And my studio is at my house, so I have people coming to me all the time. But like, there's a lot of times that I don't get to leave the house for days. So like, actually, like getting to go on tour and be out and traveling, and that's extremely important to me as like far as a mental health outlet. Like as far as like getting out and traveling, that was one of the main reasons I joined Black Tusk. Is like I was like, man, I want to be on the road and like traveling and like seeing stuff. I love these dudes and they're writing fun music, and it's like cool to do that. But I also really want to travel, and so like that was a huge outlet for me. But then getting to write music, especially with people like Andrew, James, and Derek that are writing music that is really like, I felt like my writing style fit right in with theirs because we've all known each other for so long, and I've been around Black Tusk for so long, so it just was easy to like fit right into that
kind of assimilate
that pattern. Yeah, and like I've been playing guitar with Andrew for like 15 years, so actually like when I first moved to Savannah, 2 dudes from Baroness and James and Andrew from Black Tusk, they were doing a Misfits cover band and they needed a bass player. So I just joined in with that. That's how I met, Andrew and James. And like, so it was just like, I've been playing music with them for a long time. So it was just like an easy fit in to start writing with them. But yeah, as far as having an outlet, like every dollar I make that is not for my living expenses, like, my house, my car, my dogs.
Sure.
I put back in like the studio, and so this is like where my creative outlet goes, and amps, microphones, that kind of thing. So,
while it's front of mind, what's the name of the studio?
Hidden Audio. I called it that because I try to keep my neighbors from knowing about it. It's only a matter of time, though.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's 2 things that I want to jump to from that, but before we get too far away from your neighbors and just the general locale of Georgia, there are so many bands related to that area, it seems like. And, from Columbus, Ohio, it's just another fucking state with a bunch of bands in it. And it seems like, they're probably all within 6 miles of each other, but in actuality, you guys are pretty well spread out. All this is a rambling way of saying, is there any like friendly competition between all the fucking just great bands that have come from and are still going throughout there?
I wouldn't say competition. I definitely would say, Savannah's just got such a great community as far as like bands go. Like, I run a small studio at my house and everything, but I have recorded so many great bands from all over the place, and like everybody comes in here and everybody's like, oh yeah, so and so, and like they'll get them to come in and do guest spots on their record and everything. And so it's like, especially like Savannah bands, I don't know, I know like some of the bands from Atlanta and everything, like there were buddies and everything, but like as far as like working together, like other than just like when we see them in Atlanta, we're like, hey, what's up? And like party and everything. But, Savannah, I've been in this town for 18 years now. So I can talk about like, the community here, and it's like because Black Tusk, we're kind of heavy, punky metal.
Right.
And then you'll have, another band that's kind of indie pop stuff. There's another band that's like super shoegazy. There's another band that's, blast beat, black metal. And like, we all go to the same shows. We're all like buddies, and everybody supports each other's band, and we all go see each other's bands. So
Sure.
I don't know. It's like, there's definitely, I wouldn't say competition. I would say everybody's like pretty much supports each other.
Nice.
Like every now and then you'll get those two people that butt heads and like, fuck that dude. But
you gotta have that
see,
anything
dude,
where
he probably deserves it. But yeah, everybody's pretty much cool with each other, and it's a very, because at the same time you'll have this person that plays in that band and that person plays in this band, and it's like there's a lot of
kind of incestuous.
Very incestuous with people playing in different bands and everything. But it's a good thing because, like, yeah, it just like there's not just like one style coming out of this town.
No, for sure.
But it's also a very transient town with the art school. So you have lulls where it's like, oh, look at all these awesome bands. And then next year it's like there isn't shit.
Everybody's gone.
Yeah.
Going back to the recording, not necessarily all the things that you guys had to deal with leading up to it, but the 8 or 9 days that you're talking about where everything came together. What was a typical day like in that space?
Well, when we were tracking drums, it was the James May show. Basically, like when James was in town, it was like, we got to get drums done while James is in town. It's like he comes into town, then he has to get back and go back to work. So when he was here, like if Andrew couldn't be here or Derek couldn't be here, I would be in there with him and we'd be working, and it was just, get the drums done, make sure everything sounds good, make sure James, like, I wanted to be sure James was happy with all his takes before we moved on. Or like, James was very happy with the take of a song before we moved on to something else. Cause I was like, I don't want to hear it in 6 months. You're like, man, I wish I had done this, or I wish we'd fixed that. It's like, so I was like, let's make sure you're happy with like tones, like tuning of your drums, your performance, arrangements of songs. And, it was definitely because we came into the studio and we had basic outlines for the songs, but even solid arrangement wasn't even completed until we were in the studio. So there were some songs that we were still like kind of arranging when we got in the studio. So it was definitely and then what was also challenging was, sometimes James and I would make decisions, and then the other parts of the band would come in, like Andrew or Derek, and they'd be like, what if we did this? And then I had to be like, all right, James, you got to come back and do this and that. So it was a little bit like, it would have been nice if everybody, like, if we had the ability to like have everybody in the studio. Cause like, this is the first record with Black Tusk where like songs weren't tracked as an entire band. So it was also a little bit of a departure from that workflow, but it was like this is what we had for this record, and this is what we had to do with our work schedules and this, that, or the other. And it was, but compromise, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Modern problems, modern solutions, all that fun stuff, right?
Yeah, totally.
And see, like, I'm hoping that there's some version of this where you guys are all in the same room like I'm hoping for a story where you guys are all in the same room at the same time. You've had a good day of recording and someone gets sloppy drunk and throws up on somebody else, but it doesn't sound like I'm getting one of those stories.
No. Like, honestly, when I'm in the studio, I don't drink. I try to stay very, focused. And I don't like to work more than 8 hours in the studio because you get ear fatigue.
Tunnel vision.
Yeah, that's when you start being like, yeah, it's fine, move on. You start making really bad decisions.
Like, kind of related to the Georgia thing there in a previous show, and just to pick up on the word fine, I was talking to Christian of Horrors recently, where the word fine kept coming up, and his automatic response is, fine isn't fucking good enough. This is right. And to pick up from there, like I can completely see that where you get the ear fatigue or tunnel vision or whatever it is, where you've just been sitting there with something for so fucking long, and you turn into, yeah, no, that's fine. Let's move on to something else.
Yeah, and you get so sick of hearing it that you're just like, you either give up on it, or you say it's fine and move on, and then you hear it 3 months down the road, and you're like,
Ugh.
no, what was that? Like, what is that? And you're either pissed at yourself or you drop the song entirely. And it could have been a killer song if you just like stepped away from it for an hour or slept on it and came back to it.
Sure. The, like just the idea of, like in any other walk of life, fine is perfectly acceptable. C's get degrees, B plus, sure, I'm probably getting a raise out of this. But in this situation, fine just isn't fucking good enough.
No. And yeah, and like, since we were doing this record at, you know, like self-engineering and self-producing the record, you know, I'm not trying to say that like, we were like, oh, we can do whatever we want. Because I was like, no, we're not just going open. Like, I hate it when bands come into the studio and they're like, well, we can always come back to it. Like, no, do what you need to do and then move on. Like, commit to the sound, commit to the arrangement, commit to the set, like just put it down. And that is what it sounds like. But it was like, if you can't do it, walk away and we will come back to it. Don't do it 400 times and say, well, which one did you like?
Right. Wishy-washy doesn't work in this instance.
No. I've had bands come in here and they played the same song 80 times and say, well, which one did you like? I was like, they all sound the same. Like, just play the one that you want and then stick to it. Like, commit to a sound.
Right. Let's fucking go. So the two singles, there's what, Dance on Your Grave, and what'd you say the first one was?
The first single was Brushfire.
Brushfire. I don't know why I can't keep that in my brain. How were those decided on?
Great question. I think everybody's like, hey, what songs do you guys like? And it was like, what song, if you had to pick one song for like somebody to hear, and like, I was actually like kind of surprised that Brushfire was like the first single, cause like, it's like more of like a mid-tempo, but it's still like, I mean, it's just like, it's got like a very like pummeling.
Yeah, well, it still gets after it for sure.
Yeah, so like at first I was like, it's a good song, but it definitely was like, it grew on me a lot, and that was one that James came into the practice space like, Scary, I got this idea for a song. He goes, because he's a drummer, so he just comes, he's like, and so I was like, figured out on guitar. He's like, yeah, that's it. And then he like went, sat back at the drums and started playing. I was like, all right, that became Brushfire. So.
How about the video for Dance on Your Grave? How did that come about? And what was it like putting it together?
So that was just like, we were like, hey guys, we need to put together some video. So, we got together in the studio and kind of like recreated a studio making of. So that was actually in my studio.
Oh yeah?
And yeah. And then, we filmed that just like, you know, getting parts and everything, everybody like, you know, hanging out in the studio, kind of recreating the recording and everything. And because, yes, that is a full, as they would say on Unsolved Mysteries, that was a dramatization. Because we realized after it was all done, nobody did this with their phone. Nobody like got out their phone and got a video, a picture, because everybody was working the whole time we were in here. We were working. And we were just like, shit, we didn't get anything. So yeah, we Unsolved Mysteried it and got it. We should have got actors like portray us. That would have been hilarious.
Dude, yes.
And then it's like us be like, yeah, so you know I was playing this guitar part. And it's like that'd been hilarious. But no, it was James came into town and like we just like hung out in the studio and made the video, and I was like, yeah, it's just fun. It's a portray, like that is what it's like. We're like, I mean, we're just goofy dudes and make music and hang out, and yeah.
Sure. If you got actors to play you guys for the video, who would it be? A stunned silence.
I mean, obviously, I would be Chris Elliott.
Chris Elliott.
Derek would probably be
Scary.
Ben Stiller as Zoolander.
Derek equals Zoolander.
James, that's a mystery. I don't know who would play James. And then Andrew. I mean, he's got to be Kid Rock for Andrew.
Andrew equals Kid Rock.
From Joe Dirt. Don't try and church it up, Dirt.
With or without Bud Light can be decided later.
Yeah. Fuck that dude. You can leave that one in there.
We'll leave that one in there. Because at this point, who fucking cares?
Yeah.
So in the tours that you've done with the band, since you've been with the band, what's your favorite tour story?
Good question. I don't know. I just like being on the road. I can't think of any offhand.
We can leave it. No big deal.
Yeah. There was one time we were coming back in from, so we were in Montreal, and we were leaving Montreal. We had to be in Boston. Not a short drive.
No.
And it started snowing so hard. And we're like 45 minutes from the American border. And like, you can't even see the roads. And we pull up to Border Patrol, and they're like, "What y'all doing?" We're like, "Well, we're trying to come back into the United States where we're all citizens." And they're like, "Yep, we're going to need you to pull over, and we're going to have to go through your entire trailer."
Perfect.
Cool, because, the snow's getting a lot lighter. So we literally have to pull over and have Border Patrol go through the trailer, and we're like sitting in the room waiting for like 45 minutes before they even talk to us. And they're like, "Hey, you guys have drugs?" And we're like, "No." It's like, "No, you can tell us. It's cool."
No, yeah.
Pretty sure it wouldn't be cool.
Right.
It's like, "No, we don't have drugs." But then they like made us pay a tax on the shirts that we already owned. It was like $200 some.
Are we do what now?
Yeah, we were like, "What in the fuck are you guys talking about?" And then so they let us back in after like 2 or 3 hours, and the roads got so much worse. And dude, it was awful. But every single car, like, because this is pulling like into Vermont and everything, and like all these cars were just like, every single car that was off the road, they were like Priuses. Like, why do you have a Prius in Vermont in like November? But yeah, I mean, we made it to the show, played it. It was great. But yeah, it was just like, dude, when you go into Canada, there's like, "Hey, come on in, get some Timmy Hortons."
Some Timmy Hoes.
But like, get some Timmy Hoes. But like, pulling back into the United States, they're just like, "We don't care if you're from here."
It's, I don't know, man. I've everywhere that I want to go with that feels like shit that I'm going to end up getting cussed at for later. So I'm just going to leave it. And, I'm going to ask you if you think that, how do you think the border guys split up that $200 that they took from you, calling it a tax? Do you think it was an even like 50-50 quarters, maybe by seniority?
I bet 70 of it went to tequila and 25 went to Taco Bell, and then they split up the rest.
The remaining $5. I think that math works out.
Yeah.
You, Chris Scary Adams. Yes, I just looked at your last name to make sure I had it right. What's a common myth you would debunk about recording and having a recording studio and all these things?
Common myth. You're gonna spend way more money than you think you're going to. The gear addiction, man. Like, I'm definitely a gear addict. Andrew and Derek make fun of me all the time. They're just like, "Dude, stop." Like, I send them pictures of me like with like pink guitars at Guitar Center. I'm like, "Hey, look at this," and they're like, "Why are you there?" I'm like,
"Why wouldn't I be?"
I don't know. Like, why? Yeah, like, hey, I don't like to squirt corporate guitar shops. I much prefer local, but we don't really have many anymore. But like, yeah, I spend way too much of my time and energy in here, but you know, it's doing what I like. So
Sure.
Yeah. But yeah, common myths. Just because you have a studio or like an ability to record, people just think that like, oh, I can just work on this forever. Right? And you can, but you shouldn't. Just
Sure.
because you can work on something forever, I mean, you can work on a painting forever. It's when to call it, like when to say it's done.
Right.
I think that's a big thing that like, not a myth, but it's things that people like they can't commit to, you know, being done. And so sometimes like to go into a studio, even like having this studio at my disposal, if Black Tusk was like, hey, we can go record at this studio, would you want to? And I'd be like, absolutely. Like to be able to like go into other studios and like see how other people work and have a set deadline of saying, all right, we have 4 days to do this. Like that sounds awesome.
Just to be on the other side of it.
Yeah. And also just be able like, I don't have to do it, even better.
What's one thing you wish you'd known when you started your career as either with recording or as a guitar player for Black Tusk or any other band?
I don't think there's anything that I wish I had known because you learn so much along the way. And I think that's an important thing to learn along the way. And so, you know, everybody starts at zero, like pretty much.
Sure.
And, you know, when you first pick up a guitar, you suck. And it takes a lot of like trial and error, like figuring out what works for you, what you like, and all that. And I think it's the same thing with like joining your first band. You're gonna suck and you're gonna play shitty shows. Nobody's gonna show up. You're gonna make shitty records. But then like, you know, eventually if you stick to it and, you know, I'm not saying like some people just suck.
Remain
And
shitty.
you don't like, and it's like,
See
you know,
Kid
it's
Rock.
like, that's just not your thing. Like maybe you still love it, but maybe like playing guitar is not your thing. Recording bands isn't your thing. But you still love it. Fuck it. Keep doing it. Who cares?
Right.
Like, who cares? But some people like, you know, you get better, you move on, you learn, and I think one of the best things is to play with other musicians that are above your ability.
Kind of
whenever I surround myself with people that are like leap years beyond me, recording wise, guitar wise, drumming, like I learn so much from those people and it excels me as a musician, as an engineer by leaps and bounds. And like, you know, working with other engineers and like being in a studio with other people and like getting what they do and like seeing what they would do and like where they would put a mic or like how they would like EQ something or, you know, that's like having friends that think differently from you is a very good thing. And you can learn from each other and they can also learn from you, which is really cool. And,
sure.
You know, it is the music scene is a community. And I think it's very important to not lock yourself into this is the way I do it. And this is what, I mean, it's good to have your vision and your sound, but also be willing to open up and say, like when somebody says, hey, that intro sucks. Listen to them and it makes a better end product. Like I feel like that song got better because somebody said, hey, that part sucks.
Right.
And yeah, I just think like learning from others and being able to listen to feedback and like learn, move on and just progress yourself as a musician, as an artist and everything is just, so yeah, I'm glad I came into it knowing nothing.
So I'm going to do something super cheesy here, and I don't fucking care. So what you're saying is, through all of it, you have to find the way forward. See what I did there?
Bingo.
I tied it all together. Yeah. Double points for me this round.
There we go.
All right, we're going to turn this into the goofy shit that I end these things with, just in case you thought I was being goofy before. No, that was the serious portion. So we'll do some form of a rapid fire thing here, and I've talked to a lot of British people and German people here recently where I thought I knew the answer to this first question, and I was wrong. I think I know your answer to this first question, but clearly I don't fucking know anything, so I'll just ask it. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Okay, sweet. Some things remain normal in the world.
Yes.
What's something you could eat for a week straight?
Pizza or tacos. I go back and forth.
Man, oh man. We were talking before I pushed fucking record. Those are my last 2 nights' dinners. Pizza?
Yeah.
On the arm.
Dude, I had pizza last night and I had tacos today.
We've got the inverse. Scary's just showed me a pizza tattoo on his arm. Beatles or the Stones?
Stones.
Simpsons or Family Guy? And also, good fucking choice. That's the right one as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I've seen the Stones and I could care less about the Beatles. That's Family Guy, Simpsons. That's a tough one. I would say, that's a. Damn. I'm gonna have to say Simpsons.
Okay, that's what I would go with as well.
Yeah.
What's the fastest you've ever driven?
On a motorcycle, about 100. In a car, probably about 115.
Ooh, scary. So I'm assuming that's why you're called Scary.
No.
And how the fuck have I not thought to ask you about that yet? Beer or liquor?
I'm a beer guy.
Me, as
I do.
well.
I do like liquor, but like I'm definitely not like sit there and drink liquor.
Liquor and I had a mutual parting of the ways before I was even legal to drink alcohol. So
Yeah.
beer here. Scale of 1 to 10. How good are you at keeping secrets? Nobody's listening. You can be completely honest.
Promise not to tell anybody.
Promise.
I'm not.
Fall or spring?
Fall.
All right. Go-to karaoke song?
Ooh. Harder rock and roll. Huey Lewis.
Oh, nice. Sausage links or patties?
Patties.
Why are you called Scary?
All right. Joke band. I was in high school. The band played improv death metal, and I sang Barry Manilow lyrics out of it. We called it Scary Manilow, and my backing band was Kill Your Mother, Drink Her Blood.
You know, I was pissed at myself a couple seconds ago for not thinking to ask that earlier, but I think it worked out.
Yeah, I never thought at 17 that I would be 41 and people would still be calling me Scary. But
here we are.
For some reason, I'm 41 years old, and I still have to introduce myself as Scary. And then the first thing people always say is, "You're not that scary."
So you, Scary Manilow, are sent to an album, or Jesus fucking Christ. I was so focused on getting Scary Manilow out that I screwed the rest of it up. And it's alright, because I've only said the rest of it a million other times. So I'm going to skip that part and just say that you're sent to an island for the rest of your life. You get to take one album with you. What's that album going to be?
Boston by Boston.
Oh, really? Did not see that one coming.
Love that record. Or Holy Diver.
Another one I wouldn't have. I could see that one coming more than Boston. The Boston thing.
Dude, Boston's a ripper.
Dude, I go back and I look at that album every now and then and realize that, yeah, no, there are a lot of good songs on this.
That is a banger of a record. And like every song on it is so good, and there's so many great pick slides on that record.
There are, just even in the fucking radio song.
Dude, it's so good.
This has been a lot of fun today, man. I appreciate you taking some time out of your Sunday evening to talk with me. To everybody listening, if it's not abundantly clear, Jesus Christ, this is why I don't record these things at 7. Right. If it's not abundantly clear, the new Black Tusk album is awesome, and you should be pushing play on it as soon as this podcast is over, and you take your volume knob and you just turn it all the way to the right and let it go. As a matter of fact, you might even just pause the podcast and start the album. It's 36 minutes. Why not? Come back to this. We'll be here.
Yeah.
Continual thanks to the sponsors, Sonic Temple and Brimminghorn. Check out the socials for the info on the latest Sonic Temple Weekend Pass giveaway. Speaking of social media, make sure to follow the podcast and Black Tusk on all of the socials, of which there should be all of their links and our links in the show description. Review us on iTunes and give stars on Spotify, please and thank you. Also be sure to subscribe to the podcast wherever it is that you're listening to this from, because that's what you do and that's what I'm supposed to say. And now, at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Scary to introduce the way forward, and we're going to get the fuck out of here.
Hell yeah. Yeah, check it out. The Way Forward, out now on Season of Mist. We really had a great time making it. I'm super proud of it. I think it was a lot of fun to make, and I hope you guys enjoy it. If not, don't listen to it. I don't know.